Isabel Allende's main characters are often very strong, very independent, and very interesting female characters. And that is something that I feel like is very hard to come by, because a lot of times the way women are portrayed in movies or literature or art, they appear very one-dimensional, and I think that doesn't do it justice, because women from different backgrounds, different ages, and with different experiences in life, they are so unique and beautiful and interesting and so different and unique from each other that I think often, this part is missing from the way women are portrayed in literature. And that's one of the reasons why I really love her books, and especially Eva Luna, which is one of my all-time favorite books. And I mean, when you read a sentence like, "I stopped examining myself in the mirror to compare myself to the perfect beauties of movies and magazines. I decided I was beautiful for the simple reason that I wanted to be, and then never gave the matter a second thought." I mean, this just hits so deep, with advertisements, TV shows, films, and even people that you encounter in real life always having an opinion about the way women should behave. I mean, it also starts with women being told that they're too bossy, too opinionated when they voice their opinions and their views about the world. And, if they don't wear makeup, then they're not feminine enough. But then on the other hand, if you do all these things that are traditionally considered female, with, wearing dresses, putting on makeup, wearing heels, and just, going all out like that, and just, maybe enjoying cooking, making a home, then that's also not good, because then you're, following the stereotypes that other women are trying to break. And I think that's not right, because if you have a free choice to do whatever you want to do, you should just do whatever you want to do. And I guess that's why I think this quote is so powerful, as well as that Eva Luna, she just looks at herself in the mirror and she takes responsibility for herself and she claims herself. And it doesn't matter if anybody else considers her beautiful. It matters that she considers herself beautiful. And I think that's a very powerful message to put out to women, because because of these judgments I just mentioned that women face every single day, and they're totally judged more harshly than men for whatever they do. And I think that's why it's important to have female characters in literature who are taking that on, and just, you can be really the nicest person in the world. You could always be the villain in someone else's story, and at the same time it shouldn't really matter, because you know who you are and what you stand for. And I just think it's very powerful, and it's, just really claiming yourself for yourself and just saying, I am the person that I am, and that's good enough. I look the way I look, and that's good enough. And I carry myself the way I am, and that's good enough. I guess we just need more of those kinds of eye-opening moments in literature. And obviously it's something that, you've heard before, but to really see it written down like that, and in the context of looking at yourself in the mirror, I think it's just really powerful. And it's not just Isabel Allende's ability to transport you to, accompany these female characters on their adventures. It's also just the way she writes and the way she creates this intriguing art in literature, with the way she constructs the sentences, the way she uses words, and you just feel like you're following Eva Luna's journey in Chile, and you feel with her as she goes through all the obstacles life throws at her and the adventures she embarks on, and the way she meets all these different characters. And yeah, I think that's just a very powerful story that a lot of women, or a lot more women, should read. And yeah, it's really, really one of my favorite books, and I'm also very happy about it because when I lived in Ireland, I suggested it as a book to read in my book club, and people were happy to read it, and it was just so amazing to have discussions about the book and what people thought of the different characters and Eva Luna and the story. And yeah, just to have that with other women was just so amazing. And honestly, it sounds like so cliche, but really a dream come true. It really, really was. So go ahead and read Eva Luna if you haven't done so. If you have, please also write in the comments what you thought about the book. And yeah, I'm curious to hear what you think. This next book is a brilliant book from Elizabeth Gilbert, who you might know from Eat, Pray, Love, which obviously became a world-renowned bestseller. And this one I really enjoy because it's all about creativity and creative living and writer's block and the fear of creating art and putting it out there, and also taking away the stereotype of the starving, depressed artist. And that's really something that has stuck with me, because we always have this image in our heads that's what an artist looks like. But she really talks about how you can't let the essentials get in the way of your creativity, because when you're struggling with rent or don't know where the money for your next meal comes from, you really have to think about that more, because obviously you have to feed yourself, you need a roof over your head. And yeah, if you have that kind of stability, there's more room for creativity, just because you don't have to worry about the basics. And yeah, so that's something I really took away from this book. And also I think why I like to come back to it all the time is because in this day and age where artists are so dependent on algorithms and audiences on social media, and being forced to create art in a faster way, I think we should also take time to reflect back on that, because when you look at, Leonardo da Vinci's art from that Renaissance, he didn't finish his masterpieces in just an hour or a day. It really took weeks or months or even years at times. I've read this book several times ever since my mom gave me my first copy of it 16 years ago. And I always had an interest in philosophy and history and the big questions in life. But this one really sparked that desire to learn more again, and really helped me with my perpetual thirst for knowledge and wisdom, because it really contains a lot of it. And I always like to come back to it just to read about certain periods of philosophical history or different angles, because I do believe that it's important to just look at the world from different perspectives than my own. stories. And this book really helps with that. And I think it also helped me with my fascination for Greek philosophy, which I became interested in after reading this book, and especially about Socrates and Plato's cave theory, which also became relevant again when I studied political science at university. And something not as obvious but also very important that this book gave me is my fascination and drive to learn more about women in history. And I think reading this at 16, I started to realize that women are often hidden in history and we only really hear about the male perspective. And then when I was reading Sophie's World again at age 17, while discussing and learning about the French Revolution in high school, I noticed that we don't really talk about the women of the French Revolution, even though they were very important. And when I asked my history teacher about it, he couldn't really answer why we don't learn about them. But what he did instead was offer a class on the women of the French Revolution, which I thought was pretty cool because we never really learned about that before. And we started to be introduced to Olympe de Gouges or Madame de Staël, and also the women who marched from Paris to Versailles to bring the king back to Paris. I think it really helped me understand that even though women's rights have obviously come so far in the past decades even, I mean, when you think about women not being able to get divorced until 1977 in Germany, and not being able to hold bank accounts in many countries, or even women not being able to vote in Switzerland, for example. There are still so many things that need to be done, and not just here, but everywhere in the world. And I think especially when it comes to learning about women and women's achievements in history, in politics, and arts, there's still a lot that we can do. And yeah, so I'm really glad that I found this when I was a teenager, because it also helped me understand that when I talked to my teacher about this, that if you voice something, maybe people will not always like it, but if you don't say anything, then nothing can change. And that's why, yeah, that's one of the reasons why I like to recommend this book. Not the only one, just because also if you're interested in learning about philosophy and the basics of it, I think this is a great book to get started and to familiarize yourself with a lot of different types of philosophy, and also different philosophers from different centuries and different countries and circumstances, and how their philosophies have shaped the world and maybe also the worldview of the philosophers that came after them. So yeah, this is Sophie's World, one of my all-time favorite books. So originally I only planned on introducing 3 books to you, because for many years it was just 3 books that I would always come back to. But I have a bonus book for you, and it's this one by Sofia Coppola, which came out only last year, and she is one of my favorite directors, and I really love her films because they're always so feminine in a way, and the way she uses those kind of pastel colors and the way she color grades her films, it's just really, really beautiful. And I also find it very inspiring the way she uses photography as inspiration and incorporates that into her movies. Like the opening scene of Lost in Translation, for example, was taken from a photograph, and I think that is so inspiring and yeah, just really fascinating how you can, you know, transport different kinds of art into movies. And this book really goes into the creation process of all the films she made, and there are also like really cool behind the scenes shots, and I really love it. So when I'm looking for a creativity boost and just, you know, want to feel inspired and just look at some art that really, yeah, fascinates me and intrigues me, then I'm looking at this book. And yeah, just when I found out this book came out, I knew I had to have it. So yeah, I really love it. Yeah, I mean, just look at these pictures. I love it. So yeah, these are my 3+1 books that I wanted to introduce you to, and I hope you found that inspirational and you might pick up one of these. And if you do, or if you've already read any of these, I would be very curious to read about it in the comments. And yeah, with further ado, see you in the next video. Bye!